The day I stopped shrinking by me. The day I stopped shrinking and making myself physically smaller, that wasn't the lesson I was supposed to learn. I know I need to save myself and not wait for a savior that isn't going to come. I don't want to fall in love and take on more emotional pain that comes with loving another person, but relying on my independence only can lead to more burnout. And seeking out community and interdependence was a lesson I needed to feel. I need to see and witness what parts of me refuse to fade. The smaller and less emotional parts. Okay, so this is the next poem. Conversation in the in between. This fits with neurodiverse life and chronic illness and burnout. I thought I communicated effectively, and yet I did. Yet it was the subconscious me, so the memories don't exist. I was awake. I was asleep. I was in the middle of the in between. I try not to be negative or isolate on my own. I didn't intentionally forget others' needs, especially in my home. I can't help but be myself and frustrated as can be. I am not even sure why I try to keep my head above the tides. My medical needs still are hard to get met. My providers continue to force me to deeper waters for help, even though I am avoiding the paths to get wet. I should just exist. Why would I try any other than to help others rather than myself? I keep making the same mistakes. Apparently, I had a whole conversation in my in-between state, and I really hate that because I have no memory. I will not carry their shame. This is Ancestor Healing Poems category. I was carrying their shame and guilt of history and story that was not mine, generational trauma that impacted me and mine. I recognize that I don't own the healings, nor do they own mine. Your jokes of shame that you've grown and nurtured at home, it was how I was parented, and that has been clearly shown. I carry their pain as scars on my mind, body, and soul, secrets that needed to be shared and not be held. The failures are constantly brought up in my life. I realized I had held someone else's shame. Each time I repeated the same pattern and allowed it to wreck my life or day. I am not sure to tell the difference between shame and guilt and what I inherited through the abuse and neglect I experienced. When I stopped talking to my genetic overlords, they don't get the term parent, I thought the guilt and shame would end. But the overt guilt and shame did stop. But the internal shame and guilt was something that was still nurtured while it remained. I would like to speak out about things I feel to stop that guilt and shame cycle. And safe even with my dark and twisty sadness. This goes under chronic illness and disability poems. I know I'm safe even with my dark and twisty sadness that increases with MCAS flares. When I also was diagnosed with HEDS, POTS, and MCAS, my health continued to decline even when my waist shrank. I realized every lie he told me affected my health and my body. I realized every lie he told me affected my health and my body.